Do you ever feel like you could do more but remain limited by an unknown force? Like there's a better, more focused version of you just waiting on the other side of your comfort zone? Today, we're going to look at the old writings of Miyamoto Musashi, the samurai who never lost, to find out how to push past your limits and become the person you were meant to be. Lesson 1. Add a small end to your normal routine. Most people think of stepping out of their comfort zone as an exciting event, like quitting your job overnight, moving to a new city, or taking on a huge task. But Miyamoto Musashi, the famous swordsman and scholar, knew something deeper. Greatness is built slowly through small, planned acts of growth. Musashi stressed in his lessons that people should always be growing, getting better, and expanding their abilities. This is why adding one small and to your daily routine is one of the easiest ways to get out of your comfort zone. When you wake up, you stretch for an extra minute. You take a different way to get to work. This is what you do for lunch. Read a hard page of a book. When you're done with a job, you push yourself to work for 5 more minutes. This little end is strong. You can't do it again. It adds a little uncertainty to your planned day, which is the kind of uncertainty that Musashi thought was necessary for control. Musashi wrote that you should never stay in one place, which means you should move around a lot. Life gets narrow and the mind gets stiff when you only do what you've always done. But adding something new, even if it's just a little thing, makes you curious and brave. When you ignore your safety zone, it gets smaller. When you push on its edge, even a little, it gets bigger. The push is that little end. It tells your brain, I want to get better. It keeps you from getting stuck in a beat that Musashi said was bad. He thought that the way to mastery is not a sudden jump, but a steady flow of small gains that become normal over time. Adding and to your process has one more important benefit. It helps you keep going. Momentum is what makes change possible. It gets easier to push tomorrow after you push a little today. Because of that, you no longer fear change, you expect it, and then you start to want it. The secret is that big actions aren't usually needed to be great. It needs to be consistent. It takes pushing the limits of comfort in small but important ways. Do what Musashi said and start with something easy. Put in your and let it change the way you are becoming. Lesson 2. Ask a curious question to a stranger. People often don't realize how much fear rules their daily lives. Fear of other people, their thoughts, feelings, and actions, is one of the worst worries there is. Musashi taught many times that a fighter shouldn't worry about what other people think because worry makes it hard to see clearly, dulls intuition, and stops growth. And an easy way to get over this fear is to ask a stranger something interesting. It doesn't have to be deep or poetic. You can ask something like, what book are you reading? Or, how long have you worked here? Or, what do you think should be on the menu? The goal is not the answer. The goal is what you do. You keep your courage in check instead of letting your fear run your life by starting the talk. Musashi thought that interacting with other people made people smarter. He went places, watched, and talked to monks, merchants, and soldiers. He improved not only his skills but also his knowledge of how people work by interacting with them. The same thing happens when you ask a stranger a question. You become more aware and step into the unknown. 3 strong things happen when you ask a curious question. First, it changes the story you're telling yourself. You might think to yourself, what if they don't listen to me? Before you talk. What if I sound strange? You lessen that voice, though, when you act anyway. You show yourself that being brave doesn't need permission. For the second, you get more comfortable when you're uncomfortable. When you start a small conversation, you teach your brain that not knowing what will happen is not a threat. Warriors are trained in this way. They don't avoid difficulties, they welcome them. Third, you become more socially confident. One question might not seem important at first, but it can change how you see the world over time. It gets easier to deal with people. It gets easier to talk to people. It gets easier to see opportunities. It starts to become clear that most people are good, busy, sidetracked, or thankful, not mean. Understand the mind of others was something Musashi wrote. If you never talk to other people, you'll never understand them. You can use this knowledge by asking a simple question. You move out of your comfort zone in a way that isn't dramatic, but smooth. And each small contact makes you more brave and able to connect with others. Lesson 3. Change one daily habit for a single day. Comfort comes from routines, which are safe and easy to follow. The lessons of Musashi, on the other hand, stress that a warrior shouldn't let routine become a prison. Musashi thought that being mentally rigid leads to loss and being mentally flexible leads to mastery. If you want to train your mind to be flexible and adaptable, even a small change in a daily habit can be very helpful. Some real-life examples of these small changes are moving from coffee to tea, taking showers at different times, eating at different places, or listening to different types of music. These kinds of changes are good for the brain because they keep it active and wake up feelings that may have become dull from routines. They tell people that they have the power to change. Musashi showed adaptability by using a variety of weapons, training in a variety of places, and taking on tasks with an open mind. He pushed the idea of abiding by no single style, which can be used in both martial arts and regular life. If you break a habit for just one day, it shows how much you depend on comfort and how often you do things automatically that you don't even notice. This break from routine makes you more aware, which leads to more presence and attention in your life. This exercise also helps you be more self-disciplined. Being comfortable can dull your mind, but discipline makes it sharper. People choose mastery over living on autopilot by actively breaking habits, which is in line with Musashi's idea of controlling one's will. Another big benefit is that getting out of your habit, even if only for a short time, can change the way you see things. This new way of looking at things helps people see where they may be relying too much on safety and where they can change. The main point isn't to completely change all of your habits, but to believe that you can change and know that you're not stuck in your ways. People shouldn't see their comfort zones as limits, but as places where they can grow and reach their full potential. What needs to be done is easy. Just one day, one habit, or one change is enough to bring out Musashi's spirit of adaptability. Lesson 4. Consume media that challenges your views. In a time when personalized content and algorithmic suggestions are common, Musashi's lessons stress how important it is to understand different points of view. He showed this by studying swordsmanship, philosophy, art, and strategy, among other things. He believed that having a broad mind was important for personal growth. Reading books, watching films, or listening to podcasts that make you think about things in new ways can help you grow intellectually. People improve their critical thinking by being exposed to different ideas. They move from reacting emotionally to thinking analytically, which is a sign of growth. Also, facing new ideas can weaken the ego, which likes certainty and holding on to old views. Musashi said that pride can make us blind, but humility makes things clear, which makes people willing to learn. Getting stronger through pain also gets you ready for future challenges. Being mentally tough is built by learning to stay calm when faced with new ideas. This reinforces the idea that pain should be explored instead of feared. Overall, hearing different points of view makes you more adaptable, which is a key trait for growth. Musashi thought that we should look at the world without any bias, and watching and reading challenging media helps us see things more clearly. Accepting different ideas doesn't mean you'll lose who you are. It means you'll grow as a person, gain knowledge, and be better able to handle complexity. This way of thinking tells people to follow their curiosity and look into things that are outside of their views. Lesson 5. Take a brave minute before you think too much. Think too much and you won't get anything done. It makes people afraid of things they shouldn't be afraid of and paralyzes them. This was very clear to Miyamoto Musashi. When you were in battle, waiting meant death. When you hesitate in life, you miss out on chances. To get around this, Musashi trained being decisive, which means acting without any doubt before it could take hold. Today, a brave minute is an easy way to put this advice to use. There is a 60-second time called a brave minute, when you can act before your brain can tell you not to. It could be sending the message you've been putting off, starting the workout you've been putting off, speaking up in a meeting, making a tough call, or starting a tough job. As soon as your mind starts to waver, you count to 10 and take action. This makes you stronger in spirit. Musashi taught that the mind should govern the body and the body should obey the mind. Plans are the spark and actions are the flame. If you let too much thinking put out the spark, the flame will never show up. But if you act in that brave minute, you'll get past your fear and into flow. 3 things make the brave minute work. First, it stops people from being afraid to act. Thoughts of, "I'll do it later," "It's not the right time," and "What if it goes wrong?" make the brain feel better. If you act quickly, these reasons won't have any weight. For the second, it boosts trust. When you do something even though you're scared, you show yourself that you can do it. You don't gain confidence by thinking about it. You gain it by doing brave things over and over again in small ways. Musashi became sure of himself not because he had no fear, but because he learned how to act even when he was scared. Third, it builds energy. One small act of bravery leads to another. People who start with a brave minute often keep going for 5, 10, or even more minutes. The hardest part is the start, but this method breaks down that wall. Musashi wrote that a fighter should be calm but sure of what they want to do, and they should be quick but careful. This is where your brave minute comes together. Now is the time when growth wins over fear. You don't have to wait for courage to come to you when you do this regularly. You don't have to wait for the right time anymore. You can make it happen. Start out small. Just 1 minute. One brave thing they did. Take a step out of your comfort zone. That's enough to start making changes in your life. Lesson 6. Redefine a failure as a data point. Many people are afraid of failure because they think it means they are weak or that their skills have been judged for good. But Musashi, who was a swordsman who had never lost, saw failure in a different way, as useful knowledge that helps improve strategy and toughness. When you see loss as information, you stop judging it and start analyzing it and learning from it. From this point of view, failure becomes a guide who shows you the truth about your habits and strategies and helps you grow as a person. Redefining failure has 3 main benefits. It gets rid of fear, which encourages taking risks and naturally expanding one's comfort zone. It speeds up improvement by giving clear feedback for changes, and it builds mental strength, which makes people more resilient and focused. Musashi stressed how important it was to stay calm even when things went wrong. When you think of failure as an important part of success, you open up chances for growth, experimentation, and curiosity. Eventually, you realize that skill comes from constantly learning and adapting. Musashi said that accepting loss is a key part of becoming masterful and successful.